Hey, it's Temestral, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Today I have a 2019 Nissan Armada. I got some work to do today, so I'm going to go ahead and play you the video now of the driving impressions, interior, and the exterior on this 2019 Nissan Armada in the new Platinum Reserve. Oh, ho, ho. Okay, let's talk about this 2019 Nissan Armada interior. I have some nice stitching on here, some leather. One of the things I've always had an issue with, and I'm going to open a door to see if I can't show you a little bit better, is the way this leather comes together. I've reached out and asked several times. I've gotten different answers on this. It's not a fan of this kind of fit and finish for this kind of vehicle. I have some gray going down, and I have some more stitching going around. I have a nice little wood trim here where the seat buttons are. Really nice finish there. Again, the good handle here. I have the controls for the windows. I have a door handle here. I could see this being a little bit bigger though. Size of the vehicle is always an issue for me with Nissan with the way they reuse stuff. Let's go ahead and close the door. See how quiet it is with the engine running. So pretty good solid sounding door. And then I'm in the garage so I can show you this stuff without sun glare. It's pretty, a lot of glare out there. I'm going to pull out though and show you here in a minute. Heated steering wheel over here. I have the surround alert button. This is for the camera, the door, and I have down below setting the power door. On the steering wheel itself, I have the controls for the menus here in between the dash, and I have the controls for the radio over there. So inside the dash you can see we're averaging 19.7, but if you go through the buttons which are up here, this changes the buttons on the dash. So it's kind of interesting. You have some buttons over here, and you have some buttons over here for trip odometer and things, and then you have some more buttons over here, and then you have some more radio buttons. So kind of a interesting placement of all these buttons. I have the dongle for the windshield wipers, and then I have the lights dongle on this side as well. And then we have a push button start, which can be right in there. As we come down in the driving review, I'll tell you, this is kind of like an aircraft carrier look thing to me. There's so many buttons here, it's kind of crazy. And we have cameras, which I can flip around. You can see we have a frontal camera. And when I put it in reverse, you can see the rear camera. So it's kind of nice. You have a bird's eye view of what's around you, and you have the backup camera. It's really handy with the size of the vehicle. As we go in here, we have climate. We can change the settings where the fan's blowing in here, navigation, and we go down. We have radio buttons, disc buttons, because we have a DVD player in the back. I'll show you that. We have the a couple cup holders here. I have some USBs here, and a socket hook up there. I have some small buttons here for the heated seats. One of the things I've criticized Nissan about for years, and I still don't like it, is this same button is the same in Nissan Titan truck and Nissan Frontier. And then the smaller cars, the Maxima things, they reuse these buttons throughout. They don't make buttons specific for each vehicle, which it just doesn't always work, in my opinion. And we have some four-wheel drive buttons there. You see we have auto, 4 high, 4 low. We'll get to more on that in the driving review. Nice piece of trim work here. I do like the metal here. And then as we go around the side, you can see they carry the same theme across. We have that nice piece of chrome, goes into stitching, comes down. We have a big pad here, which would be great for like another separate glove box, but we don't. We just have a big piece of interior. We have a glove box down below. And then we have some really comfortable seats. One thing about Nissan, they've always had really nice comfortable seats. And this is the Platinum Reserve, which means the Platinum Reserve badge on the center console, and we'll talk a little more about this in the driving review. But that is the center, and you can see that's about what room you have. I do have a hookup for the, actually this is for the power supply in the back, and I'll show you more about that in a second. You can hook up an Xbox back here, and this turns on the outlet. That's located in the second row. Okay, let's go ahead and hop in the second row. One thing I'll do here in a minute is I will do an exterior voiceover. We got this thing exceedingly dirty driving it around this week, and I didn't get a chance to do videos, so I'm going to do some B-roll and talk to you about this big exterior, what the big blue I call it. So in the back we have built-in DVDs, which are here and there. They've been around for a while. But what's cool about this is you can put an Xbox like right here, and your kids can play while you travel. I know for some people it's blasphemy and kids don't need more video games and yada yada yada, but long road trips, it does make a difference. And so we have USBs, we have heated seats back here. I have a nice little centered console area. I have drink holder. I have a big area here for storage. I mean, these are wireless headphones that go in here. I have a remote in here. I mean, this is a great center storage space in here. It's actually better. I think this is better than the front center console storage. I do have a moonroof or sunroof up there. I forgot to mention. I have AC back here. I have some AC vents there as well for the third row, which you have a third row there that will pop up. We'll talk about that in the driving review. I have cup holders here, and I have one place in the door possibly for a cup holder. I'll open the door so you can see. I have a spot for a cup holder here, and the DVD remote, which we'll put back over here. So, the same idea in the front, the same kind of wood setup. I have a speaker built into the door. So, that's kind of the interior on this. Alright, so I had to open the door. There's a bunch of glare outside, really bright. I have a good amount of headroom back here, a great amount of leg room, and I got to tell you what, it's pretty comfortable back here for adults, comfortable for kids. You have plenty of good space, and you have the third row for hauling more people. Now, this isn't like a Yukon XL or a Suburban size, so that third row is going to be, it's bigger than the average SUV, but it's still not as big as the Suburbans are going to be for seating area. It's still going to be kind of a kid-only area, a teenager kind of kid, and so you have some good storage room back there, but as I'll show you in a minute, there's lots of cargo room back there. I'm going to put some photos on the screen. We hauled camping gear, we hauled stuff to the store, we went to the Menards, got some flooring, so we put it all back there. The only downside to the back cargo area is the height of this vehicle. You do have a reach-in issue as far as if you put stuff towards the front and you want to get it out. It's a little problem. You have to kind of crawl in a little bit to be able to reach all the way into the front of that rear storage room. But I'll show you the photos on the screen. You can see how that's looking and see how much storage we have back there, which is an amazing amount of storage. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this exterior of the 2019 Nissan Armada. It's been the same exterior now for several years. You can see a big, bold front end. We have the Nissan badge on the grille. We have the headlights that just kind of go right in. It's like a perfect alignment with the grille. It's a little bit of a V motion. You can see where the V below the Nissan badge has been. It's not as dramatic as what they've done in other vehicles, but that's kind of the same styling they've used throughout. Work our way around the sides. You can see the sides have a little bit of different color around the wheel wells. They're a little bit more gray color. It's kind of interesting. At night they look really good. During the day in bright sun they don't look quite as well. We have a little bit of accents here for exhaust or engine heat to escape out of those vents. Just more like a trim level kind of situation as far as how it looks. Just adds a little more pizzazz to it. We have the chrome covers over the mirrors, chrome handles, and that does a good job of making it look more upscale, especially in Platinum Reserve than typically would. Around the back we have the Armada name. And then as we come around, you can see this big, bold back end. We have a little bit more gray. It's on the front spoiler and the rear spoiler. It has kind of gray coating on it. And this is the same color we were driving this week. So there's the Platinum Reserve badging. The blue really stands out. It just feels like a really big vehicle. Driving it around and then looking at it, these are massive wheels. 20-inch dark exclusive chrome wheels, and you can see as it's driving around, it's just a really big vehicle. We have the chrome along the windows. It creates one like massive window panel on the side. And the only criticism I had of this over the years is it doesn't have a whole lot of body panel like design along the sides. It just is one massive body panel on the side and one massive window. So I'd like to break it a little more design going on with that styling. So if you're a fan of this channel, you know I like to pop the hood, take a look what's underneath, because you should. There's important things to check. Oil, antifreeze, windshield wiper fluid always got to be filled up. Battery, there's always things to look at in here. So we'll talk about this a little bit. We have the windshield wiper fluid here. We have battery here. I have the placement for the coolant. It's going to be right here, easy to get to. One issue though is going to be getting to the oil. I can just reach it over here as I come to this side. I can't access it from the front, so it's kind of a weird placement. I got to kind of go up and down here to check it. It would be nice if that was just raised a little bit. Use a longer dipstick. Seems pretty easy to me. Putting the oil is going to be over here. There's a little cutout in the top of this plastic to be able to access that, and I'll show you that when I do the overview of the engine here. You can see that on the screen. And then all the way over here we have the air filter is going to be in here. I like the little tabs, easier to change this out if you're on a road trip versus a lot of these are done with screws, hard to get those out if you're on a road trip, you don't have tools with you. So overall, I think it's okay. This is the 5.6 liter V8. I'll put the stats below as far as horsepower and torque. I think I know them off the top of my head, but I don't want to say them incorrectly. So hey, let's go ahead and hop in and go for a drive, and I'll tell you more about this 2019 Nissan Armada. All right, here we are inside the 2019 Nissan Armada, and you may notice that, well, I'm not driving. The reason for that was I have had a back issue, and my wife, Heather, decided to do the driving for us, which was great because we went to South Dakota, did some camping, went to Menards, and she has done the bulk of the driving in this 2019 Nissan Armada. So you are behind the wheel of this big blue beast, what I'm calling it. I think that's an accurate description of it. So what do you think overall? What's your driving impressions?
You know, it rides really well for such a big car. I feel really high though. And I don't know if it's because I'm used to a smaller compact SUV versus such a large third row kind of SUV, but I feel a lot higher off the ground than I normally am. I don't feel like I'm driving a big truck though. I don't feel like when I turn a corner I need to
go wide.
For a better term, whip my tail.
No whipping the tail.
I don't need to whip out to make sure I don't hit the curb, but at the same time I am watching to make sure I'm not cornering too close. I don't know, I mean it's pretty easy to drive. It's comfortable. I wish automakers would keep in mind that leather seats are not very nice to women. And they're hot and they hurt. Our shorts don't cover down to our knees, so please keep that in mind. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty good SUV.
Okay, so it corners well. It's got the 5.6 liter in it, so it's got lots of acceleration. I wouldn't call it fast, but it seems like it's pretty smooth off the line.
It is. I know when we were driving north to South Dakota, anytime I would get stuck and my road rage would come out, I could just push that gas pedal and go, and I was fine. It didn't lag behind at all.
So, go ahead. There's a few things that you... Yeah, that's recording.
Okay, sorry.
I know there's a few things that we've been playing around with. Like, we've had some difficulty using the map system. That's taken some frustration getting to use that. Working with the second row DVDs with the kids. There's a game you play on getting the disc right with the volume, with the headphones. And then what's interesting is you can't hear the headphones up front. They only work behind the seats. And so that's been kind of a little frustration getting all the nuances done. Have you had any nuances on your side?
There are just things that I have to get used to. I drive a much older SUV, and so I am not a fan of adaptive cruise control. And I've never been a fan of adaptive cruise control, but this one has adaptive, but there is a button where I can adjust the distance between the car in front of me and myself. So I see it just slowed us down again, because there's a car going much slower than the speed limit.
It is 45 through here. So if you don't know what adaptive cruise control is, when you set cruise control, it keeps the distance between you and the car in front of you at a predetermined distance.
Yes.
In this car, you can set the distance, how far away you want to follow, and then it'll match that car in front of you when you have a car in front. What she doesn't like about it is
it matches too much, and then what happens is that if you are trying to pass somebody and you get closer to them, you can't really gain any distance on them unless you turn off the cruise control or unless you go on the gas. It just is really frustrating. And then if somebody decides to pull out in front of you, all of a sudden your car is stopping because they've pulled too close and you're going the speed limit, but they're going much slower than you are. So it's kind of a jerkier feel when there are those safety features that are automatically kicking in.
Yeah, and I should point out in this, there is no... Some vehicles have cruise control, and then they have adaptive cruise control as well, so you have the option. In this case, we have no option, so adaptive cruise control is the only option you have.
And the other thing with cruise is... and this could just be because I do drive an older CRV. I have a button on my dash that I push, and it means that the cruise is ready to go anytime. I don't have to push that button again the next time I get into the car if I know I'm going to need cruise. But in this car, every time I get into it, I have to turn the cruise on and then set it. With my car, it's automatically on all the time. I just have to set it to where I want it to be. So like now they're not doing 55 like they're supposed to be doing.
This is when the road rage comes out.
That's what happens when you live in Denver for 9 years.
All right.
See, they're not even going 50.
Let's talk about like entry exit for you, because I know that's always a huge issue for me. This you are higher off the ground in this vehicle. This is more like it's even taller to me than like a Tahoe or something. It's almost like it's lifted off the ground, and so you definitely have to use the side rails, and then you definitely have to hop in. I know, ignore the car. We're filming here.
Sorry.
But I know you have to use the side rails to hop in and out. But how is the door? I mean, is it easy to get in and out?
It is. The doors itself for an adult work really great. In the back seat, it's a little bit difficult for the kids, especially our 7-year-old who's not strong. Like today, for example, he was trying to get in the car, but because of the size of the car, the parking distance between this car and the car next to us, it was difficult for him to get into the car because he couldn't open the door all the way. So he was trying to climb in using the side rails or using that
The side rails.
Step, yeah.
Yep.
And his foot kept getting stuck in the door. And then there's no place for him to really hold on and close the door. So I kept getting the warning light that the door was open and we'd have to pull over and he'd have to turn. He'd have to let me close the door for him.
So it is. I mean, these are big, heavy doors. So, you know, you have to get know that.
A nice handle would go nicely. A better handle, not just this front part, but maybe
on the side.
Halfway. Like some of the armrests in other cars, I don't know if this is a Nissan thing. I can't remember if other Nissans have this. But the armrest itself sometimes has a little opening where there's also a place you can put your hand and close the door.
Close the door.
This one doesn't have that. It's
Okay.
a solid armrest. And you know, for myself, where the side rails are versus where the side of the car is versus where the inside of the car is, it kind of makes this really weird, uneven step down. So it's almost like I want to put my foot on the side of the car where I should, but I should really use the step down because I can't reach to the ground if I do the other way. So then my calf starts rubbing against the side of the car.
Sure. So let's talk about visibility. So we have a big windshield here. Mm-hmm. And do you feel like that's enough visibility? That with the windshield and the sides, can you see well enough?
I can see in front of me, but on the sides I can't.
You don't feel like that window's a big enough visibility?
Okay. There have been about 4 times on this trip, not today necessarily, but on the trip to South Dakota, around town today, where I really relied on this light because I can't see anything.
There's a blind spot monitor light here in the attached to the mirror, and that lights up the cars next to you. Now, what about these mirrors? Are the mirrors big enough?
The mirrors are good, and maybe if I just repositioned them, it would be okay.
Yeah.
It's, again, another one of my personal preferences. I like to have the mirror where I can see just the tail end of our car, and then the lane next to us. But I can't seem to get both of those in my viewpoint right here.
Yeah, they're more of a square mirror.
Yeah, they're not as oblong as I like.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different mirror shape. But I have there's a backup camera here that we've used that quite a bit, backing in and out.
I love the backup.
And it turns into a low-speed front camera for parking, which makes it pretty nice. Helps you stay in a lane, because this is a bigger vehicle. It's definitely a little harder to park. How about seat comfort? You spend a lot of time in these seats.
They're comfortable. I like the seats themselves. I don't like leather, and that's just a personal preference. I know as a mom of 2 boys and a puppy, I should love leather. But their leather seats are hot. They're cold. They're just difficult to work with unless you have to clean up a mess.
Okay. And
they're comfy seats.
What about storage up here? We have a couple cup holders here. We have some cup holders in the doors. So I feel like we have some space there. This center console, we didn't really use it very much because it's not really that useful though.
No, if it were insulated, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, if it was. Yeah, it's just there's not much. I mean, It's not very deep. It's not very much of a usable space. It's not as big as other competitors are.
About the same size as if you went and got one of those little square trash can liners.
Yep.
For a car from Walmart or something that would pop in there. It would make a great trash can.
And let's talk about these dials. I mean, we had the heated seats on quite a bit. It's helped my back quite a bit, but it's a small dial there. And then the volume dials are small. We kind of have I call it the aircraft carrier kind of look to the dial buttons here because there's so much going on in the center stack. It takes a little bit to get used to.
Climate control has been kind of difficult because the only way you can tell which fan is going to be on, if it's going to be on your face or on your feet or overhead, is if you push the climate and it goes onto your screen. There's no button with a picture of like the air vent going towards your feet or towards your face. There's no other dial. So you have to really look at the screen, which when you're driving, you don't want to be looking at that screen that much.
Yeah. It's definitely a little bit difficult with that. I mean, we've gotten to use it quite a bit and kind of gotten it down, but it's a little learning curve with it.
And maybe there's more on the dashboard that I just haven't played with. Maybe all of that is on the dashboard, so I can be doing that while I'm driving rather than staring at a screen. But I don't want to push it right now since we're filming.
Yeah. And we have, this is very capable. It's a body on frame. We have auto 4-wheel drive spinning on the whole time. We have 4 high. We do have 4 low. We have a snow mode button that changes the acceleration, the braking and stuff to handle for snowy conditions. We have a tow mode, and we have traction control. We can turn that off in those circumstances where you may not want it. So I think, as far as fully loaded, we have all the options. Now, fuel economy keeps changing on us, but I feel like we're getting about 15 is kind of what my guess is, which is right what the EPA says. It's 13, 17, 15 combined, so we're doing okay, but it's not like a fuel-efficient machine by any measure of imagination. We did put quite a bit of fuel going back and forth to South Dakota, which is about 180 miles away. Other than that, I would think the back end is pretty good shape. I showed you in the video earlier. I talked to you about the doors and how that kind of bugged me a little bit, but it's not a bad SUV. It's a good size SUV. Plenty of room in the back. We've had lots of stuff back there. Just a little kind of nuances about it.
Tons of space in the back seat for kids. There is a third row. We played with the third row a little bit. It doesn't have a whole lot of legroom because it does sit higher than those seats in front. The cool thing about the rear entertainment system, though, is it does have an HDMI connection and it does have the ability to have dual monitors. So you can have an Xbox or a DVD connected to one headrest, which has a monitor built in or a DVD player built in. And so one kid could be watching a movie, another kiddo can be playing a game.
Yep.
So.
And we did that with the Xbox with the sister of this vehicle, which is the Infiniti QX80. I'll link above to that video, and you can hook up an Xbox in the back here, which is pretty convenient. It's kind of weird new world parenting, though. You have kids, and you understand. It's kind of a weird situation, but I think overall it's a good offering. I think there's like I said, I have nuances about it, but it's a really good solid powertrain. It rides really smooth. It's got plenty of power, and it's quite roomy.
No, I agree. It was a great road tripping car.
Yeah, perfect. So, hey, for more Pickup Truck plus SUV news, make sure to check us out on pickuptrucktalk.com. 3 words. Hey, those 3 words again, you know that 3 words? Pickup Truck Talk. It's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Type those 3 in. You'll find us. Trust me, we're there. I've done it. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you, or will see you, down the road.